Dmitry, Salita, it's great to talk to you again. Now, I'm really looking forward to the fight tomorrow. Claressa Shields has made weight. What can you tell me about her? Also, we've already discussed her fight tomorrow, and obviously the Savannah Marshall fight. What are some of the long-term plans for her legacy and her profile?
Well, the biggest plan is for her to look spectacular tomorrow night, and she's laser focused on that mission. And for me as a promoter, in terms of looking forward, I believe Claressa had a great training camp. She feels fantastic, and the next fight is Savannah Marshall.
Great. Now that's going to be a massive fight. I think so Katie Taylor-Serrano, biggest fight in women's boxing, but I think Savannah and Claressa is going to come very close. Sorry, go please tell.
Well, I think Serrano and Katie Taylor are wonderful. I'm a big fan, and they're great fighters. But Claressa is a bigger star than both of them individually, so that's why the fight with Savannah Marshall, being the only one that ever beat Claressa, even though it was as an amateur, makes it a bigger fight. Also, Claressa coming across the pond and being the star that she is, coming to UK to avenge that loss, is a great story, and it's what true real champions are about. And I believe that not only is the fight itself going to be a big deal, also the build-up to the fight is going to be big. And that's another important ingredient in making sure the women's boxing, women's sports progresses to the next level, and that women, world-class elite women athletes, get the exposure that they deserve and the pay that they deserve, and it all goes hand in hand in this deal we did with Sky. And to have such a big network behind this women's fight is really a big deal, and we're very blessed and very grateful that the folks at Boxer and Sky saw what is right and what is big, and are on board with us to make this a fantastic event.
Actually, something you sort of picked up on, which I failed to mention, Claressa is a better talker and a more interesting talker than Kate and Amanda put together. What advice would you give to upcoming female fighters? Like, if you look at Caroline Dubois, she's obviously a very shy person, whereas Claressa Shields can really get a room's attention. So what advice do you think you can give them? Can they learn from Claressa?
Well, what I want to say is everyone should be who they are.
Yeah.
I'm a fan of Katie Taylor and I'm a fan of Serrano, she being from New York City. And that's who they are. And they have great personalities. And Katie Taylor, for example, I'm a big fan of Katie Taylor. I'm a big fan of her personality, of her as a fighter. I think she's a credit to the sport of boxing. Serrano, also great hard worker, have come up the rough way. One of the first women to really be fantastic the way she's been doing, and being multi-division world champion. And Claressa is who she is. She grew up in Flint, Michigan, was an amateur star, and had the challenges that made her who she is, and that's why that is all reflective in her personality. So I wouldn't advise anyone to change themselves, to change who they are. Be who you are, and I think that the fans that are meant for you are going to engage with you and follow your story.
Yeah, it's great to hear. Obviously, just be yourself. Don't want to put too much pressure on them. And last question for today. Obviously, as I've mentioned before, you've had the fighting career. Now you're a promoter. What can your promotional company offer fighters?
Oh, well, we offer something that's very specific and particular to each particular fighter. So, as an example, I read about Claressa in the Wall Street Journal before she won her 2016 Olympics, and I immediately thought that she has all the ingredients to be a true superstar. And I started working with her from her second professional fight, and here we are years later, and she's on the verge of making 7 figures and participating in one of the biggest fights in women's boxing history. Jarrell Miller, I started working with Jarrell in the second professional fight. I immediately saw that he has all the skills and the ingredients to be heavyweight champion of the world. I brought him up to that point. Unfortunately,
not your fault.
He failed the drug test.
Yeah.
But he reached he came close to the water. And Otto Whalen, Shoji Gashev, there's so many other fighters. Ali Ismailov, one of the guys coming up. We just offer something specific for each fighter. We have a very popular Detroit World Boxing Series that just took place January 22nd and is scheduled for March, which showcases some of the younger talent from the state of Michigan, from the United States, which I'm very excited about. There's the Detroit Brawl YouTube channel that boxing fans can sign up to and follow the fights and the fighters, and also an Instagram page and a Twitter page. So we're working hard, we're working smart, and making sure that each fighter reaches just a little bit above their potential. That is my goal. And firsthand, being in boxing since I'm 13 years old, and experiencing kind of every level of amateur boxing and professional boxing, I know firsthand how difficult it is, the challenges, the rewards, and I feel very responsible for the fighters that I represent and for the events that we do. There's a balance of making sure the fighter progresses properly, and at the same time the fans getting what they need in terms of exciting fights. And we try to deliver both and make both sides happy, and deliver great events and great fights, and make fighters world champions, and in Clarissa's case, future Hall of Famers.
That's the plan. I think he's capable of it, and it's been a pleasure talking to you, and I look forward to speaking to you in future.
Great, thank you so much.
Thanks, Dmitry.